Dr. Kim Tae-ho stared at the data screen in front of him. Strange energy readings were coming from the empty space near Kepler 442. The patterns looked wrong. They pulsed in ways that made no sense. So-min, are you seeing this? He called to his communications officer. Park So-min looked up from her station on the bridge of the New Seoul. Her dark eyes were tired from hours of monitoring deep space signals. The energy spikes? Yes, they started 3 hours ago, getting stronger. Kim walked over to her console. The research ship was small but well-equipped. Only 4 crew members on this mission to study unusual stellar phenomena. Kim was the team, leader and xenobiologist. So-min handled all communications. Lee Dongwoo was their security officer, and Choi Yuna kept their engines running. Pattern analysis shows artificial origin, So-min continued. Definitely not natural stellar activity. Kim felt his heart beat faster. After 20 years of searching for alien life, this could be it. Wake everyone up. Full alert status. Minutes later, the 4-person crew gathered on the bridge. Lee Dongwoo stretched and yawned. The big man always needed coffee before he could think clearly. What's the emergency, Doc? Contact, Kim said simply. Yuna almost dropped her coffee cup. You mean alien contact? The energy patterns are too complex to be random, and they're getting closer. So-min's console suddenly exploded with activity. New signals flooded in from multiple directions. Multiple contacts, they're surrounding us! The main screen flickered to life. Dark shapes moved against the stars. At first, they looked like asteroids. Then the shapes began to change. They unfolded like flowers made of black metal. Each ship was the size of a city block. Those are ships, Dongwoo said quietly. Biological ships. The alien vessels moved with fluid grace. Their hulls gleamed with a wet, organic shine. Patterns of light pulsed along their surfaces like veins carrying electricity instead of blood. Kim activated the recording systems. This is first contact with an unknown alien species, beginning documentation. One of the alien ships moved closer. It was beautiful and terrifying. The hull seemed to breathe. Sections opened and closed like gills. Strange appendages extended from the sides. Are they trying to communicate? Kim asked. So-min worked frantically at her station. I'm picking up massive bioelectric activity. Like brainwaves, but much more complex. They might be talking to each other. The alien ship stopped a few kilometers away. For several minutes, nothing happened. The crew watched and waited. Then everything went wrong. The alien ship suddenly blazed with light. Energy beams lanced out toward the New Seoul. The research vessel's shields flared and sparked. They're firing on us, Dongwoo shouted. Yuna ran to the engine controls. Shields holding, but not for long. These aren't military-grade defenses. More alien ships appeared. They formed a tight circle around the human vessel. Each one began charging weapons. Kim's mind raced. Try all communication frequencies. Maybe they think we're hostile. So-min's fingers flew over her console. She broadcast mathematical sequences, music, even recordings of human speech. The aliens ignored everything. Another volley of energy beams struck the ship. This time the shields flickered and failed. Hull breach in Section 3, Yuna called out. We need to run. Fusion engines to full power, Kim ordered. The moment the engines ignited, something strange happened. The alien ships pulled back. The energy beams stopped firing. The creatures seemed to recoil from the bright fusion flames. They stopped shooting, Dongwoo observed. Why did they stop? Kim studied the tactical display. The moment our engines lit up, they backed away. They're afraid of our fusion drive. Afraid of fire? So-min asked. Before Kim could answer, one of the smaller alien ships darted forward. It moved like a living thing, twisting and flowing through space. This one was different, smaller, faster. It's heading for our shuttle bay, Yuna warned. Dongwoo was already moving. I'll take a shuttle and lead it away from the ship. No, it's too dangerous, Kim protested. But Dongwoo was already running toward the shuttle bay. Someone has to draw them off, keep the fusion drives hot. I think that's our only advantage. The security officer launched in a small shuttle before anyone could stop him. His ship was tiny compared to the alien vessel pursuing him. The chase moved away from the new soul. Kim watched helplessly as Dongwu's shuttle dodged and weaved between the alien ships. The big man was a good pilot, but he was outnumbered 20-1. "His engine is overheating," Yuna reported. "He's pushing the shuttle too hard." So Min gripped her console. "Dongwu, come back. We can protect you with the main engines." "Negative," came his voice over the radio. "I'm leading them away. You need to escape and warn Earth." The alien ships moved like a pack of hunters. They surrounded Dongwu's shuttle. Strange tendrils extended from their hulls. The appendages wrapped around the small human craft like giant fingers. "They're not destroying him," Kim realized. "They're capturing him." The shuttle disappeared, inside one of the larger alien vessels. The bioelectric patterns across all the ships suddenly changed. The pulsing lights became more active, more excited. "They have him," Somin whispered. The alien fleet began to withdraw. One by one, the dark ships folded back into their asteroid-like shapes. Within minutes, they were gone. Only empty space remained where the encounter had taken place. Kim stared at the empty stars. His friend was gone, taken by creatures they knew nothing about. But they had learned something important. The aliens feared fire. They recoiled from fusion flames like animals afraid of a torch. "Set course for Earth," he ordered quietly. "Emergency speed." As the new soul turned toward home, Kim thought about what they had witnessed. First contact with an alien species. It should have been humanity's greatest moment. Instead, it felt like the beginning of something terrible. The aliens had taken Dongwu alive. That meant they were intelligent. They had a purpose. And they were afraid of fire. Kim had a feeling that fear would change everything. The stars ahead looked cold and empty. Behind them, somewhere in the darkness, an alien intelligence was learning about humanity. And humanity had just learned that they were not alone in the universe. The war had begun, though none of them knew it yet. 6 months had passed since the new soul returned to Earth. 6 months since they lost Li Dongwu to the aliens. The world had changed completely. Admiral Han Ji-woo stood on the bridge of the battleship Phoenix. Around him, a fleet of 200 warships prepared for the next assault. Each vessel carried the new plasma weapons designed specifically to fight the swarm. Dr. Kim Tae-ho watched from the science station. He had traded his research coat for a military uniform. His discovery about the aliens' fear of fire had made him the most important person in the war effort. "Target confirmed," reported the weapons officer. "Swarm colony world in range." Kim looked at the tactical display. The alien world appeared on screen as a dark sphere covered in biomechanical structures. Millions of the insect-like creatures lived down there. Soon they would all be dead. "Fire when ready," Admiral Han commanded. The fleet opened fire. Hundreds of plasma cannons sent streams of superheated fire toward the planet. The alien structures began to burn. Even from space, they could see the orange glow spreading across continents. Park So-min sat at her communications post. For 6 months she had been listening to alien transmissions, trying to understand their language, hoping to find some trace of Dongwu. "The bioelectric activity is going crazy," she reported. "Their communications are full of panic signals." Kim felt sick watching the planet burn. "How many of them are down there?" "Estimated population was 50 million, came the cold reply from the tactical officer. 50 million lives. Kim tried not to think about it. The aliens had started this war. They had taken Dongwu. Humanity was just defending itself, but it still felt wrong. The alien fleet defending the planet tried to fight back. Their bioships moved like living creatures through space. They were fast and graceful, but they couldn't get close to the human ships. Every time they approached, the plasma weapons drove them away. "They're retreating," observed Admiral Han. "The entire defense fleet is pulling back." The dark ships folded themselves into their traveling forms and disappeared into hyperspace. They left their world to burn alone. Kim had studied the recordings from that first encounter hundreds of times. The way the aliens recoiled from fire wasn't just tactical. It was deeper than that. almost like they were programmed to fear it. "Admiral, I need to examine the alien communication patterns more closely," Kim said. "Later, Doctor. We have a war to win." The Phoenix moved closer to the burning world. Scans showed that the alien cities were collapsing. The biomechanical structures couldn't survive the intense heat. Everything was melting into organic soup. So-Min suddenly straightened at her station. "I'm getting something." "A transmission from the planet's surface. Put it through," Han ordered. Strange sounds filled the bridge. It was like listening to a chorus of insects, but there was pattern to it. Intelligence. So-Min had been working on translation programs for months. "It's a distress call," she said quietly. "They're asking for help. The survivors are trapped in underground shelters." Admiral Han's expression didn't change. "Continue bombardment. We finish this today." More plasma fire rained down on the alien world. The last of their cities turned to ash and molten metal. The bioelectric transmissions grew weaker and weaker until only silence remained. Kim stared at the dead world on the screen. Another victory for humanity. Another 50 million aliens who would never threaten Earth again. But victory felt like poison in his mouth. Later in his quarters, Kim worked alone on the alien communication files. He had been studying their language for months. Slowly, patterns were becoming clear. The aliens didn't use words like humans did. They shared thoughts directly through bioelectric pulses. It was like they had one giant brain divided into millions of bodies. That was why fire terrified them so much. Kim was beginning to understand. Fire meant separation. Fire meant being cut off from the group mind. To these creatures, being alone was the worst possible fate. So-Min knocked on his door. She looked tired and sad. The war was taking its toll on everyone. "I think I found him," she said simply. Kim's heart jumped. "Dongwu? You found Dongwu?" She nodded and sat down at his desk. "I've been analyzing every transmission we intercept, looking for human thought patterns mixed in with alien ones. Today I found something." She played a recording. At first it sounded like normal alien chatter, but buried in the bioelectric noise was something else, something that almost sounded human. "He's alive," Kim breathed. "More than alive. I think he's been trying to communicate with them, to make them understand us." Kim listened to the recording again. If So-Min was right, then Dongwu hadn't just been captured. He had been absorbed into their group mind somehow. He was still himself, but also part of them. "Does Admiral Han know about this?" Kim asked. So-Min shook her head. "He wouldn't care. The orders are to exterminate every alien we find. No prisoners, no negotiations." Kim thought about the burning world they had left behind. 50 million dead, and somewhere out there his friend was trapped between two species that were trying to destroy each other. "We have to tell him," Kim said. "Tell him what? That we should stop the war because one human might still be alive? He'll never listen." Kim knew she was right. The war had its own momentum now. Every week brought news of new victories. More alien worlds burned. More colonies destroyed. Humanity was winning, but the cost was becoming monstrous. So-Min stood to leave. "I'll keep monitoring the transmissions. Maybe I can establish better contact with him." After she left, Kim sat alone in the dark. Outside his window, the stars looked cold and distant. Somewhere among them, humanity's fleet was spreading fire and death. He had started this war by discovering the aliens' weakness. Now he wondered if he had doomed both species to destroy each other. The intercom crackled. "All hands, prepare for hyperspace jump. Next target in 12 hours. Another world. Another 50 million lives." Kim closed his eyes and tried not to think about what they were becoming. The human fleet hung in space like a cloud of metal death. 2,000 ships surrounded the swarm homeworld. This was it. The final battle that would end the war forever. Dr. Kim Tae-ho stood in the science lab aboard the Phoenix. For 3 weeks he had been working day and night on the alien language. The breakthrough had come just hours ago. Admiral Han Ji-woo entered the lab. His uniform was perfect as always, but his eyes showed the strain of commanding genocide across A dozen worlds. Doctor, we attack in 6 hours. I need your final assessment of their defenses. Kim looked up from his computer screens. Admiral, I need to show you something first. I've made a breakthrough in translation. Can it wait? We have a war to finish. No, it can't wait. Because this changes everything. Kim activated the main display. Alien bioelectric patterns filled the screen. But now, for the first time, they had meaning. I can read their communications, Kim said. And what I found will shock you. The Admiral frowned but moved closer to the screen. The aliens don't fear fire because it hurts them, Kim continued. They fear it because of what it represents. To them, fire means being alone, being cut off from their group mind. So they didn't attack us because they wanted to conquer Earth. They attacked us because they were terrified of us. Kim pulled up more translated messages. Look at this communication from right before first contact. They detected our ship and immediately identified us as individuals, separate minds. To them, we're like a disease that spreads loneliness. Admiral Han studied the data. You're saying they were afraid of us? Terrified. In their society, everyone thinks together. One huge mind shared by billions of bodies. The idea of being alone, of thinking individual thoughts, is their worst nightmare. Kim activated another display. And here's the really important part. They only attacked because they thought we would infect them with individuality. They believed we would destroy their unity just by existing near them. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the lab hummed with computers analyzing alien data. Even if that's true, Han said finally, they still attacked first. They still killed thousands of our people. Yes, but out of fear, not hatred. They thought they were defending themselves against something worse than death. Before Admiral Han could respond, Park So-min burst into the lab. Her face was flushed with excitement. I made contact, she announced. Real contact with Dongwu. Kim and the Admiral both turned to stare at her. You spoke with him, Kim asked. Better than that. I established a communication link through the alien network. He's been trying to reach us for months. So-min activated her portable communicator. Strange sounds emerged from the speaker. But underneath the alien chatter, they could hear something almost human. Dongwu? Kim called into the device. The alien sounds shifted. Slowly, words began to form. Kim? Is that you? It was Dongwu's voice, but changed, distorted, like he was speaking from the bottom of an ocean. My God. Admiral Han whispered. He's alive. More than alive, Dongwu's voice continued. I'm part of them now. I can feel what they feel, think what they think. Kim leaned closer to the communicator. What happened to you? They didn't hurt me. They were just curious. They'd never encountered an individual mind before. They absorbed me into their collective to study me. Can you get away? Can we rescue you? Dongwu's laugh sounded hollow and strange. I don't want to get away. Kim, you have to understand, they're not evil. They're just different, and they're absolutely terrified of us. Admiral Han stepped forward. This is Admiral Han. What can you tell us about their defenses? Admiral, you have to stop the attack. I've learned things, important things. The swarm isn't what we thought. Explain. Dongwu's voice became urgent. They're not conquerors. They're refugees. Their original homeworld was destroyed by a species that sounds exactly like us. Individuals who used fire as a weapon. Kim felt the blood drain from his face. Another human-like species? Or humans themselves, from the far future? The time references don't translate well. But someone like us burned their first home to ash. That's why they fear fire so much. It's not instinct, it's trauma. Admiral Han was quiet, processing this information. And there's more, Dongwu continued. The reason they attack individual minds isn't because they hate individuality. It's because they've seen what it leads to. They believe individual consciousness always becomes destructive. That's ridiculous, the Admiral protested. Is it? Look what we've done to them. We discovered their weakness and used it to burn a dozen worlds. 50 million dead on each planet. We've proven their worst fears about individual minds. Kim sank into a chair. The weight of what they had done suddenly crashed down on him. We became the monsters they thought we were, So-min spoke quietly. The fleet is moving into attack position. In 5 hours we'll start bombing their homeworld. Billions will die. Through the communicator, they could hear Dongwu breathing heavily. When he spoke again, his voice was desperate. The swarm has made a decision. They're going to fight to the last drone. They won't run anymore. They've decided that if they're going to die, they'll take as many humans with them as possible. Admiral Han checked his watch. Our weapons are already charged. The attack begins whether we want it to or not. Wait, Kim said. There has to be another way. What other way? We're here to end this war. Kim looked at the translated alien messages on his screen. Fear, terror, desperation. These weren't the communications of evil conquerors. They were the last words of a dying species. What if we tried to communicate with them directly? Kim suggested. What if we offered peace? Admiral Han shook his head. After everything they've done? After all the humans they've killed? After all the aliens we've killed, Kim corrected. Who's really the monster here? Through the communicator, Dongwu's voice came again. Kim, I can arrange a direct communication with the Swarm Collective, but it has to happen now. Once the shooting starts, it'll be too late. Kim looked at Admiral Han. The older man's face showed the strain of making impossible decisions. 5 minutes, the Admiral said finally. You have 5 minutes to try your diplomacy. Then we attack. Kim nodded and activated the communication system. Somewhere below them, an alien intelligence waited to either make peace or die fighting. The fate of both species hung in the balance. The communication channel crackled to life. Dr. Kim Tae-ho found himself connected directly to the Swarm Collective mind. The experience was overwhelming, millions of voices speaking as one. We hear you, individual human, the collective voice said. It sounded like an ocean of whispers. We know why you have come. Admiral Han Ji-woo stood beside Kim, his hand hovering over the attack command. Around them, 2,000 human warships waited for orders to begin the final bombardment. We want to talk, Kim said into the communicator, to find a way to end this war without more death. The collective was quiet for a moment. When it spoke again, the voice carried centuries of sadness. There is no end without death. We have seen this before. Individual minds always choose destruction. Through the link, Lee Dongwu's voice emerged from the alien chorus. Kim, I'm here. I'm translating for both sides. The collective is willing to listen, but they don't believe peace is possible. Why not? Kim asked. The answer came from the collective mind itself. Because individual consciousness is a disease. It spreads chaos. It turns order into conflict. We learned this long ago when the first Firebringers destroyed our original home. Park So-min leaned over Kim's shoulder. Ask them about their original world. What really happened there? Kim relayed the question. The response filled the communication, channel with pain and ancient grief. They came from the deep void. Creatures like you, individual minds in metal ships. They offered friendship at first, trade, knowledge. But their individuality was like poison. It infected some of our people. Admiral Han frowned. Infected how? Some of our drones began to think alone, to want things for themselves instead of for the collective. The unity began to break. Chaos spread like wildfire. Kim was beginning to understand. So you tried to stop the infection? We tried to heal the sick drones, to bring them back to unity. But the Firebringers said we were enslaving our own people. They declared war on us to free individuals who didn't want to be free. The collective voice grew darker. They burned our world with weapons like yours. Billions died in the flames. The survivors fled to the far edges of space. We swore never to let individual minds destroy us again. Admiral Han checked his watch. 2 minutes until attack. Kim felt desperate. The pieces were finally coming together, but time was running out. So when you found us, you attacked because you thought we were the same species that destroyed your homeworld. Not the same species, but the same sickness. Individual minds that spread chaos wherever they go. But we're not trying to destroy your unity, Kim protested. We just want to coexist. Coexistence is impossible. Your very presence makes some of our drones question the collective. Even now, we feel the infection spreading. Through the link, Dongwu's voice became urgent. Kim, they're not lying. Since I've been here, some of the drones have started having individual thoughts. The collective is terrified. Admiral Han raised his hand toward the attack command. 30 seconds, Doctor. Kim's mind raced. There had to be a solution. Some way to bridge the gap between collective and individual consciousness. What if we left? He asked suddenly. What if humanity agreed to stay away from your territory completely? The collective considered this. You would do that? Abandon entire regions of space? If it meant peace, yes. We could divide the galaxy. Your space and our space. No contact between us. And what of the infection? The drones who now think individual thoughts because of your presence? This was the crucial question. Kim looked at Admiral Han, who was counting down the final seconds. Let them choose, Kim said. Let the infected drones decide for themselves. If they want to stay with the collective, heal them. If they want individual consciousness, let them come with us. The suggestion created chaos in the collective mind. Millions of voices argued at once. The very idea of choice was revolutionary to them. 10 seconds, Admiral Han announced. Wait. Dongwu's voice cut through the alien debate. I have an idea. What if some humans joined the collective and some drones became individuals? What if we created a bridge between our species? Kim stared at the communicator. You mean permanent cultural exchange? Exactly. I could remain here as a human voice, in the collective. And some drones could come to human space to experience individuality. We could learn from each other instead of destroying each other. Admiral Han had his finger on the attack button. Time's up, Doctor. 5 more seconds, Kim pleaded. The collective mind was in turmoil. For the first time in their history, they were considering allowing choice within their society. Finally, the collective voice spoke. We will accept this proposal, but with conditions. Name them, Kim said quickly. The infected drones must be quarantined while they decide. If they choose individuality, they leave our space forever. If they choose unity, they return to the collective and never speak of individual thoughts again. Agreed, Kim said. And the humans who join our collective must give up their individual consciousness completely. They become part of us forever. Kim looked at Admiral Han. The Admiral slowly lowered his hand from the attack command. How many humans would be willing to do that? Admiral Han asked. Through the link, Dongwu answered. I'll stay, and I know others who would volunteer. Scientists who want to study collective consciousness, philosophers who want to experience unity. The collective voice softened slightly. And we have drones who are curious about individual thought. Perhaps coexistence is possible. Admiral Han activated the fleet communication system. All ships, stand down. Repeat, stand down from attack position. Across the human fleet, weapons powered down. The threat of mutual destruction began to fade. Kim felt exhausted but hopeful. So we have an agreement? Separate territories, voluntary exchange programs, and no more war. We have an agreement, the collective confirmed. But know this, individual, human. This choice burns deeper into our consciousness than any weapon you could have used. You have changed us forever. Admiral Han nodded slowly. And you've changed us too. We came here to destroy you, but instead we're learning to understand you. Through the communicator, Dongwu laughed. It was a sound that belonged to neither human nor alien, but somehow to both. Maybe that's what forgiveness really means, he said. Not forgetting the harm that was done, but choosing to build something better instead. Kim looked out at the alien homeworld below. Instead of flames and destruction, it would now witness the first steps toward an impossible peace. The war was over. But the real work was just beginning. Dr. Kim Tae-ho stood before the assembled swarm collective on their homeworld. The massive chamber pulsed with bioelectric light. Thousands of alien drones surrounded him, their insect-like bodies perfectly still as they listened with one shared mind. 3 months had passed since the armistice, 3 months of careful negotiations and cultural exchange. Now came the hardest part. "I want to apologize," Kim said simply. The collective mind stirred. This was not what they had expected from the human representative. "Apologize for what?" the unified voice asked. Kim took a deep breath. "For everything we did wrong. For the fear we caused. For the worlds we burned. For the millions of your people who died because we didn't understand you." Through his neural link, Li Dongwu translated the human concept of apology into bioelectric patterns the collective could fully comprehend. The effect was immediate and shocking. The entire chamber fell silent. Even the constant background hum of shared thoughts stopped. For the first time in their history, the collective experienced individual shame reflected through group consciousness. "You take responsibility for harm caused?" the collective asked. The concept was alien to them. "Yes, we made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. We became the monsters you feared we were." Admiral Han Jiwoo stood beside Kim. The military man had struggled with this moment. "We had reasons for our actions," he said carefully. "You attacked us first. You killed our people too." "That is true," the collective acknowledged. "We also made errors in judgment." Park So-min monitored the bioelectric patterns from her portable station. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen. The collective mind was experiencing something completely new. "What you are doing," the collective said slowly, "this taking of responsibility, it burns through our consciousness like fire, but instead of destroying, it illuminates." Kim nodded. "That's what forgiveness does. It doesn't erase the harm that was done, but it opens the possibility for something better." One of the drones stepped forward. It was slightly different from the others, its bioelectric patterns more chaotic. This was one of the infected individuals who had begun thinking independently. "I want to understand," the drone said with its own voice, "not the collective's. How do you choose forgiveness over revenge?" Kim looked at the drone with compassion. "Because revenge only creates more harm. Forgiveness creates the space for healing." The collective mind buzzed with discussion. Millions of voices debated this new concept. "Show us," the collective finally said. "Show us what forgiveness looks like." Kim activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the air above them: human cities, Earth's blue oceans, children playing in parks. "This is what we're offering," Kim said. "Not conquest, not dominance, partnership. Some of your people can live in our cities. Some of our people will join your collective. We'll share knowledge, culture, art." The images shifted to show the experimental exchange stations already being built. Humans and aliens working together on projects that neither species could accomplish alone. "And the worlds we burned?" the collective asked quietly. "We'll help rebuild them," Admiral Han said. "Our fusion technology can be used for construction instead of destruction. We'll turn weapons into tools." Through the neural link, Dongwu's presence became stronger. He was no longer fully human or fully alien, but something new. A bridge between two ways of thinking. "I can feel both sides now," he said, his voice carrying the weight of collective wisdom and individual insight, the beauty of unity and the power of choice. They don't have to be enemies. One by one, more of the infected drones stepped forward. Each one spoke with their own voice. "I choose to experience individuality," said the first. "I want to see human cities," said another. "I want to create art that comes from my own mind," said a third. The collective mind rippled with something that might have been pride mixed with sadness. "And we choose to let them go," the unified voice said. "This too is a form of forgiveness. Letting go of the need to control everything." Kim felt tears in his eyes. "And some humans choose to join you. Scientists, philosophers, artists who want to experience unity consciousness. Dr. Yuna from the original research team stepped forward. She had volunteered for the collective integration program. "I want to know what it feels like to share thoughts completely," she said, "to be part of something larger than myself." The collective considered her offer. "You understand that joining us means giving up your individual identity forever?" "I understand, but maybe that's not a loss. Maybe it's just a different way of being." Kim watched as the first real cultural exchange in galactic history began to take shape. It wasn't perfect. There would be problems, misunderstandings, conflicts to resolve, but it was a beginning. "There's something else," Kim said. "Something important we need to share." He activated another display. This one showed star charts and deep space sensor readings. "We've been analyzing the historical data about the species that destroyed your original homeworld. We don't think they were human." The collective's attention sharpened. "Explain." "The timeline doesn't match, and the weapon signatures are different from ours. We think you encountered another species that happened to be individual-minded like us." Admiral Han nodded. "Which means the galaxy might have other species like both of ours. Individual minds and collective consciousness. We need to be prepared." "You mean work together?" the collective asked. "I mean become allies," Kim said. "Real allies. Not just neighbors who avoid each other, but partners who can defend the galaxy together." The collective mind went quiet for a long moment. When they spoke again, their voice carried new resolve. "We accept this alliance. But we want to be clear about something. What you have done here today, this choice of forgiveness over destruction, has changed us more than any weapon could have." "Changed you how?" Kim asked. "We understand now that individual consciousness and collective unity can coexist. That choice and belonging don't have to be enemies. You have given us a gift more valuable than victory." Dongwu's voice carried both human warmth and alien wisdom. "And the collective has taught us that being alone doesn't have to mean being isolated. That individual strength can serve group harmony." Kim looked around the vast chamber. Humans and aliens stood together, no longer as enemies but as partners in an uncertain future. The war was truly over. "So what happens now?" Admiral Han asked. "Now we learn," the collective said. "We build. We explore the galaxy together. We face whatever challenges come as united species rather than divided ones." Park So-min smiled as she monitored the bioelectric patterns. "The readings show something I've never seen before. Individual thoughts and collective harmony existing in the same space." Kim nodded. "That's what forgiveness makes possible. Not perfection, but progress. Not erasure of the past, but hope for the future." As the ceremony concluded, Kim reflected on the journey that had brought them here. It had started with fire and fear. It was ending with understanding and alliance. The swarm had feared fire because it represented chaos and separation. But humanity's greatest weapon hadn't been fire after all. It had been the courage to choose forgiveness over revenge, understanding over hatred. That choice had burned deeper into both species than any weapon ever could. It had illuminated new possibilities neither could have imagined alone. In the end, the title proved true. The Hive had feared fire, but it was human forgiveness that burned the deepest, transforming fear into hope and enemies into friends. The real victory wasn't conquest. It was the chance to build a better galaxy together.